Everyone knows Superman or Thor, but thousands of years ago, the strongest hero people talked about was Hercules. He was half god, half human, and his story is full of adventure, sadness, and unbelievable strength. Hercules was a son of Zeus, the king of gods, and a human woman called Alcmaeon. The thing is that Zeus was actually a playboy, and he had multiple affairs with multiple women. And Hercules was a result of one of these affairs. So naturally, Hera, the actual wife of Zeus, hated Hercules. When Hercules was just a baby, Hera sent two snakes to kill him in his crib. But instead, the baby Hercules grabbed those snakes and crushed them. Even as a baby, he had godlike strength. Hera hated Hercules because he was the son of Zeus and a mortal woman, the result of one of Zeus's many affairs. Out of jealousy and hatred, Hera sent a fit of madness upon Hercules. Under this madness, Hercules saw his wife and children as enemies or monsters. In this delusion, he slaughtered them, only realizing the truth after the madness wore off. When he came to his senses and saw what he had done, he was devastated. Heartbroken, he went to a temple and asked how could he make up for it. The oracle told him to serve King Eurystheus and complete 12 impossible tasks. This became known as the 12 labors of Hercules. The first labor of Hercules was to hunt and kill the Nemean lion, which was causing suffering in the land of Nemea by attacking both animals and people. The Nemean lion was a monstrous beast. It has massive size, larger than a normal lion, impenetrable golden fur, and claws which were sharper than swords. Its skin was said to be so tough that arrows, swords, and spear would bounce off. Hercules traveled to Nemea, where he realized that his weapons were useless against the lion. The lion had a cave with two entrances. Hercules blocked one of them and drove the lion into the other, trapping it inside with him. With no weapons capable of harming the lion, Hercules wrestled the lion with his bare hands. Eventually, he managed to strangle the lion to death, relying on his divine strength as the son of Zeus. After killing it, Hercules needed the proof of his success, but no blades could cut the lion's skin, so he used the lion's own claws to skin it, because they were the only things sharp enough to do so. Hercules then wore the lion's skin as a cloak and its head as a helmet, which became his armor. The Hydra was a serpent-like water monster that lived in the swamps of Lerna in Greece. Usually said to have 9 heads, but some versions say more, even up to 100. One of the heads was immortal and couldn't be killed by any ordinary means. If Hercules cut off one head, 2 more would grow back in its place. Its very breath was deadly, and its blood was so toxic that it could kill anything it touched. Hercules began by cutting off the Hydra's heads with his sword or club, but as soon as he did it, 2 grew in its place, making the battle seem hopeless. His nephew then came to help. Hercules would cut off a head and his nephew would cauterize the neck with a torch, sealing the wound and preventing regeneration. Eventually, only the immortal head remained. Hercules cut it off and buried it under a huge rock so it could never return. After defeating the Hydra, Hercules dipped his arrows in its poisonous blood, making them deadly. These arrows would play a key role in later myths. The golden hind was a sacred deer with golden antlers and bronze hooves. It was incredibly fast and elusive, and it was sacred to the goddess Artemis, the virgin huntress and goddess of the wild. Some versions describe it as her pet or companion, which made catching it even more difficult because harming it would anger the goddess. Hercules chased the deer for a full year through forest and across distant lands, not wanting to harm it because it belonged to Artemis. Eventually, he caught it while it was drinking at a river, either by snaring it or shooting it gently with an arrow that didn't wound it seriously. As Hercules was taking the deer back, he was confronted by Artemis and her twin brother Apollo, angry that he was taking the sacred animal with him. Hercules explained that he was acting under the orders and had no intention of hurting the deer. Depending upon the version, Artemis either forgave him or allowed to show the deer to the king on the condition that he would release it afterwards, which he did, often through a trick by letting it run away just as he handed it over to the king. The fourth labor of Hercules was to capture a giant savage boar that was terrorizing the region of Erymanthus, a mountainous area in central Greece. The boar was huge, ferocious, and uncontrollable, destroying crops, attacking people, and laying waste to the countryside. It lived on Mount Erymanthus in a dense forest and was charged at anyone who would come near it. Hercules traveled to the region and tracked the boar through snow-covered mountains. Using his strength, stamina, and cleverness, he drove it into a deep snow pit, which slowed it down. He then snared it with a net or a lasso, alive and unharmed, as he was instructed by the king. The fifth labor assigned to Hercules was to clean the stables. He had to clean the stables full of animals that hadn't been cleaned for years. He did it in one day by turning rivers through them. The sixth labor assigned to Hercules was to get rid of the man-eating birds. These were vicious, monstrous birds with metallic feathers that could launch like arrows, bronze beaks and claws, and a horrifying screech said to be deadly. They fed on human flesh, destroyed crops, and attacked anyone who entered their territory. According to some versions, these were pets or creations of Ares, the god of war. The birds lived in dense marshes, making it impossible for Hercules to attack them directly. The goddess Athena gave Hercules a special tool, a pair of bronze clappers. These clappers made an incredible racket when banged together. Hercules climbed a nearby hill. He banged the clappers together, creating a loud sound. The birds got scared and flew out of the marsh into the sky. As they flew away, Hercules shot many of them with his bow and arrows, which were poisoned with the blood of Hydra. The rest fled and never returned, completing the labor. The seventh labor of Hercules was to capture the crazy bull alive and bring it back. Poseidon, the god of sea, gave King Minos the bull with the expectation that Minos would sacrifice the bull in his honor. However, King Minos was so impressed by the bull's beauty and strength that he decided to keep it for himself and sacrificed another inferior bull instead. This act angered Poseidon, who cursed the bull, driving it mad with rage. As a result, the bull became crazy. Hercules traveled to Crete. King Minos was happy to see him and even offered him help. However, Hercules refused it. Using his immense strength, Hercules wrestled the bull, subdued it, and brought it back to the king. According to some sources, Hercules actually rode it across the sea. Diomedes was a king of Thrace and was the son of Ares, the god of war. He ruled a savage tribe and owned a team of 4 wild, man-eating horses. The eighth labor of Hercules was to steal these horses. Hercules traveled to Thrace and arrived at the stables of Diomedes. He fought the grooms and soldiers guarding the horses and captured them. Diomedes arrived to stop Hercules. In some versions, Hercules killed Diomedes in battle. In other, he captured him alive. To subdue the savage mares, Hercules fed Diomedes to his own horses. This horrifying act tamed the animals because they have tasted their master and are no longer enraged. Hippolyta was the queen of Amazons, a fierce and independent tribe of warrior women. She possessed a magical belt which was gifted to her by Ares, the god of war. The ninth labor of Hercules was to take the queen's belt because the king wanted to give it as a wedding gift to her daughter. Hercules arrived in the land of Amazons. Hippolyta greeted him kindly and was immediately impressed by his reputation. She agreed to give him the belt willingly. Everything seemed to go smoothly until Hera, always hostile towards Hercules, disguised herself as an Amazon and spreaded the rumor that Hercules actually came to kidnap Hippolyta. The Amazons, believing this lie, attacked Hercules and his crew. In the chaos, Hercules killed Hippolyta, thinking she betrayed him. He then took the belt by force and fled. The 10th labor of Hercules was to steal the red cattle of three-bodied giant called Geryon. Geryon was a monstrous being who lived on the island of Erythea, far to the west. He was a truly unique and terrifying creature. He had three separate bodies, joined at the waist and each with its own set of arms and legs. This meant that he had 6 arms, 6 legs, and 3 heads. He was an incredibly strong and fearsome warrior. He possessed a herd of magnificent reddish-brown cattle, which was guarded by a giant herdsman and a two-headed dog. Once he arrived on Erythea, the first to confront him was the two-headed dog. Hercules swiftly killed him with a single blow from his club. Next, the giant herdsman rushed to defend the cattle. Hercules also killed him without much difficulty. Finally, Geryon himself appeared, alerted by the commotion. Armed with 3 shields and 3 spears, one for each body, he charged at Hercules. The battle was fierce, but Hercules, with his immense strength and skill, managed to overcome the multi-bodied giant. He typically killed Geryon with a single arrow shot from his bow, often aiming it so precise that all his 3 bodies were hit simultaneously. Then he took the red cattle and went back. The 11th labor of Hercules was to steal the golden apples of Hesperides. These apples were kept in a garden at the edge of the world, guarded by Hesperides and a fearsome 100-headed dragon named Ladon. The apples were a wedding gift to Hera and were sacred to the gods. To complete the task, Hercules first had to find the location of the garden, which was unknown to him. He sought the help from various figures, including the sea god Nereus, whom he had to wrestle for information. Eventually, Hercules reached Atlas, the titan who held up the sky. Hercules offered to hold up the sky if Atlas would retrieve the apples for him. Atlas agreed and fetched the apples. He did it so easily because the dragon was friendly to the titan. But then he tried to trick Hercules into holding the sky forever. Hercules, using his cleverness, tricked the titan back into taking the sky again by pretending to adjust his cloak, and then he took the apple from the titan and ran away. The 12th and the final labor of Hercules was his most dangerous and challenging labor. It was to capture Cerberus. It was a 3-headed dog which guarded the underworld. The king commanded Hercules to descend into Hades, the underworld, and bring back Cerberus, the monstrous dog that guarded the gates and prevented the dead from leaving. Hercules made his way to the underworld through a tunnel or a cave. Hercules met Hades, the god of the underworld, and his queen, and he asked for their permission to take Cerberus to the surface. Hades agreed, but only on the condition if Hercules could subdue the beast without using any weapons. Hercules found Cerberus near the gates of the underworld. It was a gigantic dog with 3 heads and a serpent's tail and snakes growing from its back. Using his immense strength and lion's skin cloak as a protection, Hercules wrestled Cerberus into submission with his bare hands. Cerberus eventually yielded and Hercules dragged him to the world of the living. When Hercules brought Cerberus to the king was so terrified that he hid in a large jar and begged Hercules to return the beast. Hercules complied, bringing Cerberus back to the underworld unharmed. After finishing his labors, Hercules went to compete in an archery contest for the hand of Princess Iole, the daughter of King Eurytus. Hercules won the contest, but king, fearing that Hercules might again go mad and kill his wife and children as he had done before, refused to give him his daughter. This angered Hercules. Later, some of King's cattle were stolen, while Hercules was not responsible for it, and one of King's sons, who actually believed that Hercules was innocent, went with him to search the cattle. During this search, Hercules, in another fit of divine madness, killed him either by pushing him off a cliff or simply by beating him to death. Hercules was struck with a terrible illness as a result of this murder. He sought guidance from the oracle at Delphi to find a way to purify himself. The oracle told him that he must be sold into slavery. Hercules was bought by Queen Omphale of Lydia. This period of servitude to Omphale is famous for its role reversal, where the mighty hero Hercules was often depicted wearing women's clothing and performing traditionally feminine tasks like spinning wool, while Omphale would wear his Nemean lion's skin and wield his club. Despite this humiliation, Hercules still performed heroic deeds during this time with Omphale, like ridding her kingdom of various monsters. After his 3 years of service were completed, Omphale freed him, and in some versions of the myth, they even had children together. This war between the giants and the gods is known as Gigantomachy. It was a mythological war in which the giants tried to overthrow the Olympian gods. A prophecy said the gods could not win without the help of a mortal hero, so Hercules was summoned, and with his help, the gods were able to defeat the giants. Hercules is said to have killed several powerful giants in this war. While crossing a river, Nisus, who was a centaur, tried to abduct Deianira. Hercules shot him with a poisoned arrow which was dipped in Hydra's venom. As Nisus was dying, he lied to Deianira and told her that his blood could be used as a love charm to keep Hercules faithful. Later, fearing that Hercules had fallen in love with another woman, Deianira soaked a shirt into Nisus' blood and sent it to Hercules. When Hercules put on this shirt, it burned into his flesh. The Hydra's venom was still active. No water or force could stop the pain. His flesh melted, and he was in unbearable agony. Unable to endure the pain, Hercules built his own funeral pyre on Mount Oeta. No one dared to light it until his friend agreed. As the flames rose, Zeus took pity on Hercules, and he lifted him to Mount Olympus, granting him immortality. There he reconciled with Hera and married the goddess Hebe, becoming a full god himself. From ancient myths to Disney movies, the story of Hercules still inspires us. He showed that even heroes make mistakes, but true strength is in learning from them. Thanks for watching.